Hey, courageous school leaders. Welcome to Lead Beyond Limits, the space where school leaders like you gain unfiltered insights from educators, uncover the hidden barriers holding your staff back, and get practical strategies to lead with confidence. If you're ready to tackle the real challenges in your schools and create the clarity your team needs to thrive, you're in the right place. Let's dive in and get to work.
Good evening, everyone. Pardon my tardy. It has been one of those days. You know how Monday is. I hope everyone is doing well. I was having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, I won't have any moving forward. But I'm glad that you all can join me this evening for Lead Beyond Limits. My name is Dr. Demia Thomas, and the cadence that we have is the first Monday of the month. I talk about some content. Next week, I have a guest. And then the third week, we have hot seats. And then the fourth week is a guest again. So this week is some content. And I'm super excited about the content today because I actually ran into an executive director who purchased my book for her team. And she shared with me how one of her team members quoted my book, chapter 3 of my book, at a meeting that they had. And so I want to lift up chapter 3 in Decisions by Fire so that we can kind of dig into what that really means, right? So just to give you a little background, and again, if you're new joining or watching the replay, my name is Dr. Demia Thomas. I've been in education for over 2 decades in various leadership roles. And I'm super excited about the path and journey that I'm on right now with supporting school leaders and ensuring that they have the longevity that they need, building their confidence one step at a time, and really doing it through a collection of qualitative data to help inform how they are making decisions in their building and with their team. And so the book, Decisions by Fire, is broken down into a framework, which is control your narrative, right? How are you controlling your narrative as a leader, as a human being, period, right? Like making sure that you are the person who is in control of the things that are happening to you. And if you're not, you're in control of how you are reacting to those things, right? And so in the book, chapter 3 is part 1 of the framework. There are 3 parts to the framework. And the first phase of the framework is called Mind the Gap. And the gap being a gap in your values as a leader, first as a human being, and your actions as a leader. A lot of times, and I'll speak for myself, I got caught up with the things that I thought leadership was supposed to be, and lost sight of what my actual values were. And so I was operating in a gap, right? There was a deficiency, a disconnect, I should say, not deficiency, but a disconnect, a misalignment of my values and my actions as a leader. And so I had to learn how to reconnect to those values. And so that's what phase 1 is about in the book. But chapter 3 really talks about how you as a leader are connecting with your team and your staff, right? Chapter 1 is about you. Chapter 2 is about you and your leadership team. And chapter 3 is about you, your leadership team, and your staff, and how you're building on that value system. I froze, but I'm going to keep talking. So today's Lead Beyond Limit topic is from leadership fatigue to leadership mastery, right? How to align, listen, and lead with confidence. And so those people who have signed up to receive the reflection and action guide, I have revamped it so that it's more user-friendly for you as we are engaging in these sessions each week. And so I will send you the updated version. For those people who have not, please make sure that you DM me so that I can send you the link for the reflection and action guide. And one of the 3 major parts in each one of the series is, the first one is controlling your narrative, and how you're able to control your narrative, right? And so my question for you is, are you leading your school, or is your school leading you, right? Leadership is about is about intentionally shaping the culture of your school and how you go about doing that, right? So, without clear leadership direction, it's easy to fall into reaction mode where everything feels like it's happening to you at one time, right? Like everything is happening at once. There's no control. You feel like there's no sense of control. Instead and what we need to do is as leader in leadership is flip that. So today's session is going to focus on the three strategies, specifically using chapter 3, right? Controlling your narrative, leading with confidence, and how you're building your legacy. So each of these strategies will help you move from reactive leadership to intentional leadership. Okay. So let's take a look at value mining, which is something I dig deeply into value mining in the book. And I want to lift that up for us in our discussion today, specifically because if you are not value mining, you are missing out and not being as connected to your values as you are engaging in your leadership practices, right? So, value mining is really digging, it's defining your leadership identity, right? So, my computer's acting up. I was going to show you a flow chart, but unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with it's like when I have guests, I don't have the issue, which is great. But when it's just me, I'm having this connection issue. Nevertheless, follow along with me, okay? So, um, what are the values that are driving your leadership, right? Think about that and reflect on that. What are the things that are driving you as a leader? So if you don't define what you stand for, someone else will. Period. You have to have a clear definition of what it is you stand for. So value mining is about identifying the core beliefs that drive your leadership, ensuring that those beliefs align with you and your leadership team, right? It helps how you and your leadership team will operate when you are connected to your values, right? So I remember walking into a school, working with a client, walking into a school, and I could feel that there was a disconnect just from having just general conversations, walking in the hall with various members of the leadership team, that they weren't on the same page, right? And when a lot of times when you walk into a school where staff have grown complacent, the biggest shift doesn't come from a program or a policy. The biggest shift comes from how you as a leader will reconnect to your staff's purpose. Why are they there? Right? And each time you engage with your staff in value binding, you uncover like these limiting beliefs that your staff may have, the limiting beliefs that they hold about student success. And as you are peeling that onion back, peeling those layers back, you are actually, when you're having these conversations and creating these safe spaces for these conversations, you're replacing those limiting beliefs with the values that push them, right, to be there in the first place. And it'll actually help push them past the limitations that they have and their beliefs, that their limiting beliefs about kids and their abilities, right? The process will create a culture that, where a shift in expectations, you can actually feel it becomes palpable. And I remember working with a school leader and her team in this way. And it became a real shock for that school leader because she was unaware that her staff, especially her leadership team, had these limiting beliefs about kids. Right. And again, it's not a one and done. You have to continuously do it. So let's think of it as a flow chart, right? You have leadership fatigue. A strategy you can use to help with your leadership fatigue is one, value mining. Know what you stand for, right? This will help your leadership team clarify the core values that they have, and it'll help identify gaps between values and actions. That's going to equal to a leadership team that's going to represent a united front with aligned expectations. Okay. That's the first step in the leadership strategy, value mining. Right. Again, this requires going beyond personal values to ensure that the leadership team is aligned. That is so critical. So, an action step I have for you with that first step is to conduct a value mining exercise with your leadership team to clarify the beliefs that they have about what students can do. And again, a lot of schools do this at the beginning of the year and don't touch it again. It has to be ongoing. Let's connect if you want some tips or suggestions on how to do that. Okay. So once you value mine, look at this flow chart now, right? So value mining is going to equal a leadership team that represents a united front with aligned expectations. And that is going to lead to trust. Trust is built through listening, right? Because you're having these value mining sessions, because the leadership team is now a united front, aligned with expectations, it's going to lead to trust, right? You are going to create a structured set of listening sessions. Is it going to turn into a gripe session? Possibly, but there's data in those gripes. There's data in the complaints. So take the time and listen to them. So create listening sessions for your staff. And as you are engaging in these listening sessions, you need to model vulnerability, right? You need to model that and exercise your emotional intelligence here, right? So it's built through consistent, this trust is built through consistent listening and action. So if staff only have one-on-one conversations about their concerns with you, because those are really important too, but if that's the only way that you are engaging with staff with one-on-one conversations, but those concerns never make it to a structured leadership conversation, then the trust is going to erode, right? If you had any, it's going to erode. So these listening sessions actually allow you as a leader to intentionally create spaces, safe spaces for concerns to be heard while ensuring, those conversations are productive. So create these structured listening sessions. Again, while you're engaging in them, you're going to model vulnerability, and this gives you a great opportunity to model your emotional intelligence, right? And then take the staff feedback and put it into action. Put it into action. Okay. I remember when I was principal at a large elementary school in Baltimore City, when I first got there, there was a lot of dissension among the staff. I talk more about it in my book, why that dissension was there and how I had to bring the staff together. And so I had to have these sessions where I would actually listen to staff. And because it was 70 staff, I started having these monthly sessions, school-wide leadership team meetings with representatives from grade levels and content to serve as a representative for their grades and content, right? So that we can have a structured conversation. And we put systems in place to address the concerns that they had. It helped to increase the trust, build trust among the staff, right? And trusting me as the school leader to say, I hear you, I see you, I understand what you need, right? It is so critical. This trust is going to equal exactly what I just told you, that staff are going to feel heard, valued, and they're going to feel like you're engaged in what they're in what's happening. So action step for you for step 2, which is trust, establishing trust. Implement structured listening sessions with clear follow-up actions to reinforce staff trust. Have one. Why don't you have one about the testing season coming up and what people are feeling about that, right? And what are some things that could be put in place to help improve that? That's just a suggestion. But so that you're not all over the place with these listening sessions, you could kind of hone in on a particular focus if you like. So just to reiterate, leadership fatigue, a way to curb that is your value mining. When you value mine, it's going to equal a leadership team that's unified with aligned expectations, and that's going to lead to trust. And how you continue to establish that trust is using the steps that I just shared with you. And that's going to equal to staff feeling heard, valued, and engaged. And then after that, the third step is now you can lead. How are you leading with confidence, right? Like, who is checking in on you? Who do you check in? Like, who do you have checking in on you to make sure that you are being held accountable for the work that you said that you were going to do and how you were going to support staff? There are so many things going on in a building at once. Trust me, I know, I remember. You have to have an accountability partner who holds you accountable as a leader. And I'm not talking about, the person who evaluates you. I'm talking about somebody in your building on your leadership team. So it's not just really about you managing other people, but how are you managing yourself? And I'm going to come back to this piece about emotional intelligence, right? It's one of the most important skills a leader can develop. And it's one of the best ways to strengthen it is to have an accountability partner. Because a lot of times, I know for me, I didn't realize if my face expression was showing something else. So I had an accountability partner to tell me to check my face, watch my tone, send that email to me first before you press send, right? Find your person. This is someone who will challenge you, not someone who's just going to say yes because you're the leader, a school leader or a principal or the role, but someone who can really be honest with you and challenge you when you're wrong about something or there's a different or better way to do something. Someone who can call you out on the blind spots, right? And that can help you respond with intention instead of emotion, right? Because once you send out that emotional newsletter or email, you can't take that back. So find your person, okay? You must have an accountability partner for you to help build your emotional intelligence, right? It's going to help you prevent, this reactionary mode as a leader. And we all know as school leaders, it is very easy to just react because there are a lot of things going on at once with families, with staff, with children, with the district, asking this and that and this all at the same time. So it's easy to fall into a reactionary mode, which is why it's so critical that you have someone who is holding you accountable for your emotional intelligence, right? To help strengthen your resilience as a leader, right? I remember early in my leadership career, I had a tendency to react quickly, right? I don't know if it was because I'm from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, or just it's a muscle that I just built over time. But uh, one of my most valuable growth moments, right, is when my accountability person on my leadership team would tell me, like I said, fix your face, or Demia, you're doing too much. Like that's gonna push staff over the edge. Change that email. It's not really clear. It's not, because I had this idea as a young leader that no excuses. Every person is an adult. Everyone has the same job description that I have or knows their job description. They're supposed to be working under that job description. I lacked a lot of empathy and emotional intelligence when I first became a school leader. And I'm so grateful for my assistant principals who helped me grow and develop and build that muscle of emotional intelligence. I'm so grateful for that. So my frustrations were visible and it impacted how, I would engage with staff, and they pulled me to it. I had two accountability partners, right? The two accountability people on my team. So I was fortunate enough that they felt comfortable enough with me to tell me and call me out on my stuff, right? That challenged me. So make sure that the person that you are selecting is someone who is unafraid to call you out on your stuff as a leader. Okay. Your accountability partner is going to hold you is going to help you self-regulate to ensure that your emotional responses don't undermine your leadership effectiveness. Okay. So choosing the right partner requires, again, someone who is bold, who is candid, who knows how to ask the right questions, right? And this is a practice that you should encourage among your leadership team, so that you're encouraging peer accountability for sustained change. We're talking about building legacy, right? Sustained change. So um when you do this, it's going to equal that you're staying, like you're leading with intentional and proactive confidence. That's how it's going to come across, right? So here's an action step for you. I need you to identify an accountability partner and establish like structured check-ins, right? Um, to strengthen your leadership awareness and responses. Sometimes the check-ins are just you all walking down the hall together, walking towards the cafeteria for lunch duty, or it doesn't have to be formal where sitting in an office with a computer and taking notes. Sometimes it's just walking down the hall, right? Because I understand how valuable time is as a leader. We're so short on time as it is. So again, the flow, which if my service was acting right, I would be able to show you the flow that I have uh, uh, outlined here, is you want to decrease your leadership fatigue. One of the strategies is value mining. That's going to equal a unified front with your team. Then your next step is trust, establishing trust. Because once you come as a unified front, your staff is going to start trusting, like, okay, they're all working together. Okay, they're on the same page. That's opening the door to establishing trust. And now you're having these listening sessions. That's going to equal staff feeling like they're heard, valued, and engaged. That's going to make you come across as a more confident leader. And how you're going to help establish that even more is having an accountability partner on your team to help keep you in check. Right? And so now you're going to lead with intentional, proactive confidence, you and your leadership team, right? That's what leadership mastery is about. Now, the thing about the word mastery is that it's never finished, it's ongoing. That's the beautiful thing about being a school leader and working in a system that it constantly has you engaging with people all the time, is that people change and evolve, situations change and evolve. So mastery is a loose term. It's just really being self-aware. That's the mastery part. You don't master other people. You master how you are engaging with other people to help build that legacy that you are working toward, right? And so I'm hoping, and this is what chapter 3 in Decisions by Fire is about. And please let me know I'll put the link in the comments for you to order it on Amazon. It's either hardcover, paperback, and it's also Kindle. So I will drop that link in the comments, and I will also send the people who have DM me for the reflection guide. I will send the new one to you. And if you are interested in the updated reflection guide, send me a direct message me, and I will send you the link for that. So leaders, what's really important for you to remember here is that you are going to exceed expectations when you are leading with intentionality. Okay. So what we covered today is how you're going to control your narrative, right? Define and align your leadership values through value mining. How you lead with confidence, which is how you build trust and staff engagement through structured listening sessions. And then how you're building your legacy as a leader, right? How you're strengthening your resilience with accountability partners to ensure consistent, values-driven leadership. Okay. So the key to leading beyond limits is not doing more, right? But it really is about doing what matters. Doing what matters with clarity and consistency, which is a huge term that is, I believe, in public education overlooked a lot. And, we just get so busy with the new shiny thing that we are not consistent enough with the things that we know work. And I talk about that a lot also in Decisions by Fire. So take those 3 action steps that I just shared with you today, and I will quickly go over them again. The first action step is conduct a value mining session with your leadership team first to clarify beliefs, right? If you need suggestions or help with that, reach out to me. The second step is to implement a listening session, right? With clear follow-up actions to help reinforce staff trust. Now is a great time to do it as testing season is upon you, and that could be a focus. The last step is identifying an accountability partner on your leadership team, and have the conversation about each person finding someone, an accountability partner on the team, right? Unified front. We used to say all the time at the elementary school, one band, one sound, right? Because if you went to one person on the team and they said something, you go to any other person on the team, they're going to say the same thing, right? And if they weren't sure, they would say, "Let me get back to you." One band, one sound, all the time. Okay. So if this session has resonated with you, well, actually, let me go back. I know I give you 3 things to do. That sounds like a lot. I'm going to revise that. Pick one of the 3. Choose one strategy to implement within the next 30 days. So in the month of February, pick one of the 3 strategies, which is holding a value mining session, conducting listening sessions with your staff, or the third one, which is finding an accountability partner, making sure that people on your leadership team have an accountability partner. So choose one to implement in the next 30 days. And I'm going to ask you for some qualitative data. I'm going to ask you to document the impact it has had on your leadership, right? We're not just doing things willy-nilly. We are doing things for impact. So choose one strategy, implement it within the next 30 days, and then document the impact. Okay. So if this session resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, let's continue the conversation. And remember, leadership is it's not it's about what happens inside of your school, but it's also about the intentional choices that you make every single day that are going to define your impact. Okay. So lead with intention, build with consistency, and continue to move beyond limits. I'll see you next Monday with a special guest, Rosalind Fleming, who was an assistant principal turned principal, and now she runs a nonprofit. And I'll have her talk to you about the work that she's doing, the wonderful and much needed work that she's doing. And so join us next Monday, which would be the 10th, I believe, at 7 p.m. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but today is the 3rd. 7 days from now would be the 10th. So hoping to see you all, and my system is working properly next Monday, but I hope that you all can at least hear me, even if you can't see me. And I hope that you got something that you can take with you into the next week. And remember to commit to one of those strategies for the month of February and document qualitative data all the time. Okay. Continue to move beyond limits, everyone. Have a fantastic evening.